Okay, I hope I'm audible to all students who are attending this lecture of Intermediate Microeconomics Part 1. We continue with our lectures on budget constraints. The books I prefer to follow for my lectures on Intermediate Microeconomics Part 1 course. This is Intermediate Microeconomics by Hal R. Varian and Microeconomic Theory by Snyder and Nichols. These are the two key books I prefer to follow for my lectures in Intermediate Microeconomics Part 1 course. Okay, now all students can recall that in the last lecture of budget constraints, we had started our discussion of what is meant by a budget set, what is meant by a budget line. So a quick recap from the previous lecture. Equation of the budget set is P1x1 plus P2x2 less than or equal to your income n, where P1, P2 is the price vector in the R2 space. P1, P2 belonging to the R2 space is the price vector. And x1, x2 belonging to the R2 space is the consumption vector. Okay, this was the equation of the budget set, and the equation of the budget line was, so remember from my previous lecture, budget line consists of all those bundles which cost the consumer exactly his or her income. So that's P1x1 plus P2x2 exactly equal to M. Just a quick recap of the diagram of the budget line and the budget set. On the horizontal axis, good x1. On the vertical axis, good x2. We had figured out in the previous lecture that the budget line is downward sloping. The horizontal intercept was calculated as m by p1. The vertical intercept was calculated as m by p2. The slope of the budget line in the previous lecture was calculated as minus p1 by p2. Okay, the budget line is AB, and OAB, triangle OAB is my budget set. Triangle OAB is the budget set, and AB is the budget line. And we had learned in the previous lecture that the budget set includes the budget line as well. Okay, this was all the recap from the previous lecture. Now, in this particular lecture, we are going to look at shifts in the budget line. Factors causing shift in the budget line. Factors causing shifts in the budget line. So let's look at the first factor, which is changes in income. How do we denote income? We denote income using N. So suppose now P1 and P2 are constant. So suppose price of good 1 and price of good 2 are constant, and income changes. So we consider two cases. So I'm drawing a tabular I'm drawing a table. So this is case 1. Suppose income increases. I can write, suppose income increases from M to M dash. And the next case I'll consider is, Suppose income falls from M to M double dash. Let's look at the impact on the budget line. So first of all, equation wise, let's look at it equation wise. So what is my initial equation? My initial equation is P1x1 plus P2x2 equal to M. Horizontal intercept. How do we find horizontal intercept? Put x2 as 0. You get x1 as M by P1. Vertical intercept. How do we find vertical intercept? Recall from the previous lecture, you put x1 as 0, you get x2 as M by P2. Slope, all of us know that's minus P1 by P2. What is going to be my new equation, guys? P1x1 plus P2x2 equal to M dash, where M dash is more than N because income has gone up. Horizontal intercept, M dash by P1. Vertical intercept, M dash by P2. Slope, you will see if you calculate the slope of this equation. How do we calculate the slope? Recall from the previous lectures, nothing but dx2 by dx1, the derivative of x2 with respect to x1. The slope is still the same, minus P1 by P2. So now guys, compare this with this. You see that the horizontal intercept has gone up because for the same P1, my numerator has gone up from M to M dash. So horizontal intercept has gone up in comparison. Vertical intercept has gone up in comparison because again, if you compare the vertical intercepts for the same P2, my numerator has gone up from M to M dash. Slope is unchanged. Initially also it was minus P1 by P2. Now also it's minus P1 by P2. So how will the diagram look like? Now I'm erasing the initial part and diagram comes on the top. That means my horizontal intercept and vertical intercepts have gone up by the same magnitude, but my slope is unchanged. So it's going to be a parallel shift. On the top, students can see the diagram. This is good x1, good x2. This is the initial budget line. This is M by P1. This is M by P2. Okay. And the slope is minus P1 by P2. And now you can see my horizontal intercept has now become M dash by P1. Vertical intercept has now become M dash by P2. And it's a parallel shift because the slope is unchanged. If the slope is unchanged, the lines are parallel to each other. Both these lines have the same slope. The slope of the red line is also minus P1 by P2. The slope of the black line is also minus P1 by P2. So we can say that an increase in income causes a parallel rightward shift in the budget line. Okay, exactly the opposite happens in the case 2. So initial equation, students can now quickly start writing with me. Initial equation P1x1 plus P2x2 equal to M. Horizontal intercept M by P1. Vertical intercept M by P2. Slope minus P1 by P2. New equation. What is happening to my income? Income now is falling. So I can write in the bracket M double dash is less than N. Income is falling now. So my new equation is going to be P1x1 plus P2x2 equal to M double dash. Horizontal intercept M double dash by P1. Vertical intercept M double dash by P2. Slope minus P1 by P2. Horizontal intercept, if you compare for the same P1, numerator has gone down from M to M double dash. So horizontal intercept falls. If you compare the initial with new, vertical intercept also falls because for the same P2, Numerator has gone down from m to m double dash. But if you look at the slope, guys, it's unchanged. Here also it was minus P1 by P2. Here also it's minus P1 by P2. The diagram comes on the top. So we learned that both horizontal and vertical intercepts have now fallen because of a fall in income. But your slope is unchanged. So this was my initial budget line. Horizontal intercept m by P1, vertical intercept m by P2. Slope was minus P1 by P2. What has happened now? Horizontal intercept has now become m double dash by P1. Vertical intercept has now become m double dash by P2. Both have fallen and it's a parallel shift because my slope is unchanged. The slope of the red line is also the same, minus P1 over P2. So if we conclude, keeping the prices of both the goods unchanged, an increase in income causes a parallel rightward shift in the budget line. So I can quickly write this. So if I sum up, keeping P1 and P2 constant, an increase in income causes a parallel rightward shift in the budget line. An increase in income causes a parallel rightward shift in the budget line. And a fall in income causes a parallel leftward shift in the budget line. A fall in income causes a parallel leftward shift in the budget line. So hoping students have understood this particular part. Now let's look at the next factor. So I'm erasing all this. The next factor is factor number 2, changes in prices. So changes in, let's say, price of good one. So we now keep income. We now keep income and price of good 2 constant and consider the following cases. Okay, so again, I'm drawing a tabular kind of a representation. This is case 1 here. Price of good one falls. P2 is constant. Income is also constant. So price of good one falls. So I can say that I can write it here. Price of good one falls. Price of good one falls from P1 to P1 dash. So I can say that P1 dash is less than P. On the other hand, price of good 2 and income are constants. Okay, so how will the equations look like? So my initial equation, P1 x1 plus P2 x2 equal to M. We know the drill, horizontal intercept M by P1, vertical intercept M by P2, slope minus P1 by P2. New equation, P1 dash x1 plus P2 x2 equal to M. Now income is the same, P2 is the same, but my price now is P1 dash. Horizontal intercept M by P1 dash, vertical intercept M by P2, slope minus P1 dash by P2. Now guys, compare these three with these three. You can look at the horizontal intercept. The numerator is the same. Denominator has gone down. So the whole thing has gone up. If you compare the horizontal intercepts for the same numerator, denominator now has gone down. When denominator goes down, the whole fraction goes up. Vertical intercept, students can compare and see it's unchanged. It was m by p2 before, now also it's m by p. Look at the slope and ignore the minus. We are comparing the slope in absolute terms. So we are ignoring the minus. The minus sign just indicates that the budget line is downward sloping. That's it. Otherwise, in comparing the two slopes, out of which is bigger, you ignore the minus sign. You only look at the absolute value. So for the same denominator P2, numerator has gone down. So my slope has gone down. And whenever the slope goes down, it means the budget line has become more flatter than before. We have done this in our mathematical methods for economics course, basic mathematical methods for economics course. You can clearly see that when the slope falls, the line becomes more flatter. So in this case, the slope is falling. So if I draw a diagram for all students, let me use the right hand side now to draw a diagram, and then I'll erase case 1 and do case 2 with all students. So the diagram is going to look like this. This is good x1, this is good x2. Okay, my initial budget line, this is horizontal intercept m by p1, vertical intercept m by p2, slope is minus p1 over p2. Now if you look at the new values, horizontal intercept has gone up. It has now become m by p1 dash. Vertical intercept is still the same, and my line has become more flatter than before. The slope of the red line is minus p1 dash by p2. So my budget line swindles to the right. Okay. Logically also you should be convinced, when price of good one falls, good one now becomes more cheaper. So I can write, when P1 falls, good one is relatively cheaper. Which implies consumer can now afford to buy more of it. Consumer can now afford to buy more of it. When anything becomes cheaper, you can now buy more of it. Your pocket allows you to buy more of it. Very simple. Okay. And mathematically also you should be convinced. Look at the angles. When you have to compare flatness and steepness, initially this was the angle. Now you can see that the angle has gone down. The angle made with the horizontal axis has gone down. It means that the line has become flatter. So students can write a note also. When the angle made with the horizontal axis goes down, the line becomes more flatter. You can clearly see that the angle made with the horizontal axis has gone down from this much to only this much. That means my budget line has now become more flat. So all my students should be convinced in every aspect. You should be clear with the math also. You should be clear with logic also and common sense. Common sense simply says good one has now become cheaper. You can now afford to buy more of it. Mathematically also you should be convinced. Vertical intercept is the same. Horizontal intercept has gone up. Slope has now gone down. The line has become more flatter than before. Okay. Now let's look at case 2. So if I erase this part off, Let us look at case 2. So first of all, let me erase some selected portions. I'm not erasing everything. So students can pay attention. Price of good one now increases from P1 to P1 double dash. So P1 double dash now is more than P. We are looking at case number 2. So I'm making some essential corrections on the left hand side of the screen. Case 2, price of good one increases from P1 to P1 double dash. P1 double dash is more than P1. P2 is also constant. Income is also constant. You can see that there is no change in the initial equation, but my new equation now becomes, if I erase the essential portions, so my new equation is P1 double dash x1 plus P2 x2 equal to M. Horizontal intercept is M by P1 double dash. Vertical intercept will still remain the same. Slope will be minus P1 double dash by P2. If you compare them, you can see that the horizontal intercept has gone down because for the same numerator, my denominator has gone up. When denominator goes up, the old fraction goes down. There is no change in the vertical intercept if you compare the initial with new. Slope has gone up because for the same denominator, my numerator has gone up now. And whenever the slope goes up, the line becomes steeper. When the slope goes up, the line becomes steeper. So now I'm going to erase the diagram on the right hand side. And let's draw the diagram for case 2. Diagram for case 2. This is good x1. This is good x2 on the vertical axis. This is the initial budget line. Horizontal intercept M by P1. Vertical intercept M by P2. My horizontal intercept has now gone down to M by P1 double dash. My vertical intercept is still the same. You can see now the angle has gone up as compared to the angle initially. So my budget line swindles to the left, and logically also you can see that when P1 goes up, good one is relatively more expensive, which implies consumer can now afford to buy less of it. Consumer can now afford to buy less of it. So again, students should be convinced mathematically also and logically also. Since good one has now become more expensive, keeping price of good two and income constant, good one has now become expensive. You can now afford to buy less of it. And at the same time, mathematically also, for the same vertical intercept, horizontal intercept has gone down. Slope has gone up. The line has become more steeper. Okay, so hoping students have understood this. So students, this is where I intend to stop in this particular lecture. Homework for all students is, all students who are attending this lecture, please take this as homework and you're going to try it on your own. Okay, so draw the shifts in the budget line. Draw the shifts in the budget line when price of good one and income are constant and case 1, price of good 2 falls from P2 to P2 dash. Case 2, price of good 2 increases from P2 to P2 double dash. So all students who are attending this lecture are going to take this as homework. And please take the homeworks very seriously. You can get in touch with me through WhatsApp or through mail, and I can check your solutions. But try this at home, okay? Draw the case of price of good 2 falling and price of good 2 going up, assuming that price of good 1 and income are constants, okay? And in the next lecture, we are going to look at special cases for shifts in the budget line. So now in the next lecture, we are going to learn what happens when multiple factors change. What happens when income and prices both change. In today's lecture, at one particular point of time, we were looking at changes in income, assuming prices to be fixed, or change in one of the prices, assuming the other price and income to be fixed. So in today's lecture, we were focusing on change in only one factor. But in the next lecture, multiple factors will change. So we are going to look at the impact of those on shifts in the budget line. So I stop in this lecture. I hope all students have enjoyed this lecture. Any doubt, you can unmute your mics and ask, or you can call up or mail me your doubts at divineschooloфeconomics@gmail.com. This is where I stop in this lecture.